Hello, my name's Colin Foreman. I'm the Deputy Editor of MEED, and today I'm joined by MEED's Power and Water Editor, Andrew Roscoe. Hello, Andrew.
Good afternoon, Colin.
Andrew, a bit of a quiet week on the news front. Not much going on. Eid holidays, a lot of government officials are off all week and the private sector off for half the week. That said, the news agenda's really been dominated again by Qatar and the Qatar crisis. What's the latest?
So the latest is Qatar's been issued with a list of 13 demands that it has to meet in order to get the sanctions removed. So they get 13 sanctions, and some of these are, they're quite difficult to meet.
And what's the Qatari reaction been? Has there been an official response?
There hasn't been much said publicly. A spokesperson has released a short statement saying that demands are, they're very difficult to meet. I can't remember the exact word he used, but
and there's a time frame involved, isn't there? There's been a 10-day time period to meet the demands, which I think takes us up to 3rd of July.
Up to the 3rd of July, yes.
And then on top of that, there's been some overtures from within the UAE that there might be additional sanctions or additional pressure put on Qatar with third-party nations as well. So it really seems as if the pressure's being cranked up on Qatar at the moment.
Yes, yeah. There's talk of further sanctions on third parties, and Adel Al-Jubeir, the Saudi Foreign Minister, was in Washington again yesterday, and he made a statement saying that, echoing what the UAE has said recently, that the terms are non-negotiable, and Qatar has to meet these demands. But US Secretary of State Rex Tillerson said a few hours later, he's sort of remained quite neutral in the talks. And he said, that there should be dialogue between the two, and it's sort of trying to encourage him to stop making rash statements in public.
So really, we need to wait until July the 3rd to see what happens once this deadline passes. But it seems like there could be a chance that the crisis could rumble on for some time yet.
Yeah, I mean, there was quite a lot of people thought there would be quite a quick solution to it. They thought Qatar might back down, but that was before the demand list produced, and that's got a lot of demands, such as shutting down Al Jazeera, releasing lists of individuals that they funded in certain countries that the others believe are involved with terrorism. So it's
and there was closing down of a Turkish military base as well, seems
yes.
to be a major sticking point as well. Away from Qatar, has there been much in the way of project news this week?
There hasn't been much in terms of project awards and tenders due to Ramadan and Eid. I guess the big news is in terms of financing, particularly for renewable energy projects. So there's a switch now in the region's power market towards private financing for projects, and this is particularly becoming evident in the renewable sector. And what's interesting, they've got new facilities now called green bonds. So in Morocco, IFC and the African Development Bank, AFD, they've recently agreed to invest in a major green bond in Morocco for the BCP Bank. And also in Dubai, just reached financial close recently for the 800 megawatt solar project. So you've got the Canadian Export Credit Agency is financing some of that due to Canadian solar panels being used. But I think that the most interesting thing about the Dubai solar project is Islamic Development Bank's involved. So we've got Islamic financing as well. And that will be the largest renewable project in the region with Sharia compliance financing.
Okay, no, interesting development. I think the other thing that we need to look for really is looking forward to July, which is the traditional summer slowdown. And I think that there will be a drop in activity in terms of tendering and awards, but I think really the standout's probably going to be Dubai. I think that Dubai finds itself in a position now where it really needs to get moving on those projects that it wants to be ready in time for Expo. So I can see quite a bit of tendering and award carrying on in Dubai, but I think broadly speaking we're still going to see that traditional summer lull. And I think also what's playing on in the backdrop with the oil price falling to well below $50 now, probably maybe cause a few people to hesitate on moving forward with projects as well. So potentially a bit of a slow summer with a few bits of activity in the mix as well.
Yeah, well, I think everyone's still waiting for Saudi Arabia across most of the sectors. That's where all the potential is at the moment. And they've had some delays after the launch of the 2030 vision. There's delays in getting that set up. and also obviously the Qatar situation, ongoing crisis in Yemen, had a reshuffle there obviously recently as well. So I think, yeah, people are waiting for that to kick off, and I think that will be August time by the time that.
And of course, a lot of these big decisions in Saudi Arabia need executive type of decisions being made, and a lot of that decision-making capacity is being taken up with what's going on in Qatar at the moment. So that could potentially delay some projects being pushed forward from the very highest level. So I don't think that's necessarily going to help progress in terms of maybe a one-off project going ahead.
Sure. From what I'm hearing, particularly in the utility sector, there's quite a few meetings planned in August with the Executive Council and the various utilities there on which projects to proceed with. So I think it'll be August before we start to see some movement there.
Okay, thank you very much, Andrew.
Thank you.
And that was a roundup for the week. Thank you for watching.